All right, welcome back. So, I want to show you guys something. Maybe it'll help somebody in the future. I knew about this issue. Kind of dealt with it a little bit on some of the other, like the main spar of the horizontal, but it didn't do this. And the couple times I think I had the issue, it didn't do it anywhere like this, and I was able to kind of square it away and make it happen. So I ruined some parts. Luckily they weren't expensive ones. so so this here is the rear spar of the elevator, and most of the holes are dimpled, which makes it easy. And this is a thicker aluminum, but it's kind of small. It's C-shaped, which kind of adds to making it a little bit more difficult. Plus it's angled. These are angled kind of down like this because obviously the elevator is angled, kind of a triangle shape. But anyways, so on both of these, you got a left and a right, obviously. There is a section which is 29 holes of the top of the inner part are actually countersunk. And that's because you still have to have, versus dimpling, they have you countersink it because on the bottom of that, you end up adding the hinge for the trim tab. So if it was dimpled, you would have to dimple that. I don't know if you can dimple that. You would have to countersink that. And I think they rather you countersink the spar, and that because the spar is kind of in the middle between the skin. You got the skin, the spar, the hinge. So the spar is kind of in the middle. So I'm guessing they have you countersink in the middle, which is, I guess, a better way and a cleaner way of doing it, versus just dimpling these and then dimpling that hinge. And I don't know, I got to look at it. Could be because it's thicker. I don't know. Whatever their reason was, that's how they decided to do it. But anyways, so there's 29 holes, and you know, you got these countersinks that you set your depth. Usually you go flush on the rivet head, and then they say these are, each click is supposed to be 1/1000th or 0.001. I have found that not to be true for some reason. I don't know if it's just because of the way I do it, but so I will go one step at a time, and I'll check the rivet, and you kind of shoot for that 0.004 to 0.006 kind of range for the top of your rivet to be kind of below the surface. And I have two kind. I've got this wide one and this skinnier one, and you can get little nylon caps to go on these, so it doesn't do essentially what this is doing. It just puts a little mark, but this is going to get primed anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. Scuffed and then primed. But anyways, so the point of this video is I experienced what they call chattering, and it was very severe on this. And the only thing I can think of is because it's a smaller part, it's angled, and even with the smaller one, you know, this is your best bet. You know, if it sits flush on there, it's just hard to keep it steady. And even when I, you know, really kept it flush and was holding it and started with the drill, it would start smooth, but then like not even halfway through the actual countersink, it would start basically chattering, what they call it. And what that does is it turns a nice perfect circle countersink into a, you know, it can be as bad as that. And what ends up happening is it opens the hole too. And I would show you, but I'm not gonna waste. I have holes. It was so bad in a couple of these that I could put a -4 rivet in the hole versus the -3. And after I ruined it, I was like trying to figure out ways to make this work. I'm like, screw it, it's already ruined. You know, might as well keep trying these other holes to kind of see if I can figure out my technique. And it's not my technique. It's just, well, it is my technique, but it's really hard to clamp this down. And I had somebody, you know, mention getting some wood with a little hole in it because you want this. You got this little pilot hole, and that'll start moving, and that's what kind of calls it. So if you put put a piece of wood or piece of metal, which I'm going to do a piece of aluminum with the same size hole, and you put it on the back side of this and then put this on to kind of help hold that, that seems to be a good technique. So that's what I'm going to do, because let me grab it. So this is the leftover piece I have. It's really thick, so it don't flex. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put a little hole in it, you know, the same size as this, and that way I can sit here and hold it underneath, line up that hole, and that way I've got people will even clamp it to this. Hopefully I don't have to do that, but because this is just so awkward, it's hard to keep it still, and that's the key, is keeping this part still, I think. And help keeping with that piece in that little, with that pilot in that hole all the way through, it'll help just keep that little bit more to keep it steady. Plus, you know, you have something to help hold on to. So I've ordered the new parts. Luckily they weren't bad. It was like 60 bucks. Okay, let's talk about shipping. Okay, so I made the mistake of doing the 2-day, because I was rolling, I want to get these elevators done, and they don't give you a quote. They just said, well, you'll be charged at the time of shipping. And I almost called them this morning and canceled it and just did the regular, because you only have the option for ground or 2-day or 1 day. There's no priority, because I guess they use UPS. It would cost more for the damn shipping than it did the parts. It was like 130 bucks in parts, because I ordered some extra stuff. I'll get to that. Ordered some extra parts. I'll get to that. But I ordered the 2 spars. I ordered some more of these little guys, because I ended up I dimpled the wrong way on like the end bracket, and you're not supposed to dimple it. And I flattened it back out, but you could see it a little bit, and I'm like, well, these were like $9 for the set, so I ordered a couple. I ordered one of those, and then the other thing I ordered, which I'm kind of getting off on, I'll go ahead and talk about while I'm on it. So this is the wedge that goes on the trailing edge, typical for your rudder, and the new version of this. Here, let me do this. The new version of this has a. Let me show you. You can see it right there. See how that has all those holes cut in it? So this is the rudder kit that I ordered. And so I just threw another one of these in my order, because all the new kits come, sorry, I'm getting this set up. All the new kits come with that wedge piece with those lightning holes cut in it. And I kind of like that. So the lighter, the better, right? Which they probably just did it well, no, I don't really save them aluminum because it's manufactured that way, and they just Dremel it out. So I don't know why they changed it, but maybe to help with the Pro Seal hold it, I don't know, but or just save weight. So that's why it costs 130 bucks. If not, it would have been like 70 bucks plus shipping. But yeah, the shipping was like 158. So yeah, be careful about that. Don't ever give the kids the credit card, right? So anyways, I wanted to talk about that. I saw a video, had a lot of good recommendations on clamping it down and then using the wood and the metal, but I also hopefully it works as good as it's designed to, because even on bigger surfaces, these quad cuts, it's got basically four blades. I just don't like these. They just don't seem to get, you got to be like perfect, because if you do any little angle, or if it moves, or you don't have it secured, you're going to get that chatter. But they make one of these countersink pieces that essentially is round on the angle and then has like a kind of an angle cutout, oval cutout in one side that goes all the way through. And that's where your shavings kind of go into through that. And it's designed based on the listing to prevent chatter. So they're not that expensive. If I'd have known that from the get-go, I would have just bought those right out the gate, but I don't think they work as good as these. I think you have to go slower with them. These are more of a high speed, and people mentioned changing, you know, sometimes you go lower speed with these. But I think it was more so of just being able to keep the part steady and keeping that pilot hole centered. So, I mean, I'm gonna, if when I start the next one, if I get any issues, I'm gonna put this on and I'm gonna clamp it. That way it isn't going anywhere. So, but just some various techniques, whatever works for you. Because this isn't necessarily a huge, well, this is an easy one, but I know there's going to be a lot more stuff that I countersink and stuff that you could be really expensive if you screw it up, kind of like a wing spar, like a main wing spar, or even like the horizontal wing spar, man. If it would have gotten screwed up, because those are so long, it would probably been expensive and costly to ship. So kind of slowing me. I know I'm rambling. I just wanted to talk about that. I've seen, like I said, I have an aviation maintenance background, but you know, my aviation maintenance background is very one-way this because it was military stuff and on helicopters. You know, we did a lot of things, but we didn't do a lot of, you know, the Army breaks it up instead of having like all in one. They break it up. There's an engine guy, an airframe guy, a wire chaser, you know, like a general guy like me. I did everything, you know, big components replacement on engines, on the frames, on the, you know, drive systems, did all that stuff, replaced transducers, all that kind of stuff when I was a crew chief, hydraulic pumps, do all the servicing, all that crap, blades on and off, track and balance stuff. So that's why we could get our tickets and get our A&P, because we did a little bit of everything. But we weren't schooled as specific in certain areas like your Yankees, which were your wire chasers. They could read diagrams and schematics and make wire harnesses, do pinning and all that stuff, which is not hard. But they didn't teach us that in my schooling on the day. So that's stuff that makes it like airframe stuff. You know, how to properly dimple, how to do all the metalworking. We don't go into that. So this is a learning process for some of it. And there's a huge community. You can get all the, it sucks. I know people hate it because you get on the Vans Air Force and everybody, you know, you get the same questions over and over and over and over. That's just part of it. You know, I do searches just like everybody else, but the search functions are crap. And I even do the Google searches with, you know, Vans Air Force and this specific thing to try to pull it out, and you get so much stuff. So it's a lot. That's why people just go straight to asking questions. But people typically will answer, or at least point you to the thread that will answer your question. And YouTube, Paul Dye's Metal Magic series covers the basics. And I didn't do any Vans classes just because I couldn't do them. You know, I can't travel. I can't take the time off from work. And, you know, I have limited time off, and going to, you know, just to do a class and wherever they do them is just not feasible for me. So with reading, you know, the manual, watching a lot of videos, a lot of build videos that people give tips for hits, and Vans Air Force, you can pretty much get everything you need to know. So cheers to that. But this was a lesson learned, and it's kind of a good experience because it allowed me to prevent and not do this when we get to very expensive, more critical items like, well, this is a critical item. It's a flight surface, but it's not something like a wing spar, you know, that's really expensive to replace. So anyways, I think that's way too much time, so I'm going to call it. And I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm still going through dimpling everything. The next step was actually to countersink the angle, the wedge angle piece, but because I don't have the one I'm going to actually use, I'm going to have to skip that. And I think it's getting close to that point where you're starting to put things on the skins, and getting ready to do the SB, the service bulletin with the or the tank sealant. So I think now that I have everything dimpled, I'm gonna start prepping and priming what I can while I wait for this. This will be here Wednesday. So, and then when I get the new ones, I'll have to dimple that real quick and then try the countersinking again. And then I'll jump on this piece. And then at that point, it is final assembly time. So it'll get fun, it'll go quick. Of course, elevators got a lot to them. Like, it was a lot faster doing the rudder and horizontal and vertical than it is these elevators. But anyways, you guys take it easy. Sorry for the long-winded video. If you got any tips for hits to help with stuff like this, put them in the comments, man. That's how we learn. That's what this is about. I will say one thing I forgot to mention is another thing I saw from the video is kind of putting it together and then countersinking these, like getting, you know, what I'm thinking about doing is putting it on this, like clecoing it to the skin, putting the ribs in to kind of help hold it steady with this aluminum bracket piece. And I think that should do the trick, especially with the new countersink tool that's supposed to prevent chattering. So we'll see. But you guys take it easy. Welcome, if you're new, welcome to the channel HiFly Radio. I'm working on an RV10, plus I also do a lot of RC nerd stuff, RC nerd jets, you know, planes, jets, and I even got some helicopters over there. But I'm kind of not really wasting any more money on that. I have one more project inbound, but I'm probably not going to build it for a while just because I don't want to spend the money. I'm saving for the fuselage kit. So yeah, it's a long video. Sorry guys. You guys have a good one. Don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Helps. I don't get paid for this, but it'd be nice to someday maybe. Cheers.